It's that time of day again. That's right, it's time to get a cat nap. You know that it's important to snuggle in, close your eyes, and let your imagination take you away. Today, I have a special surprise. Zeus, the dog, is here to tell you a story.
The beginning of the Armadillos. This is another story of the high and far off times. In the very middle of those times was a sticky, prickly hedgehog, and he lived in the banks of the turbid Amazon, eating shelly snails and things. And he had a friend, a slow, solid tortoise, who lived on the banks of the turbid Amazon, eating green lettuce and things. And so that was all right, do you see? But also, and at the same time, in those high and far off times, there was a painted jaguar, and he lived on the banks of the turbid Amazon too. And he ate everything that he could catch. When he could not catch deer or monkeys, he would eat frogs and beetles. And when he could not catch frogs and beetles, he went to his mother jaguar, and she told him how to eat hedgehogs and tortoises. She said to him ever so many times, graciously waving her tail, "My son, when you find a hedgehog, you must drop him into the water, and then he will uncoil. And when you catch the tortoise, you must scoop him out of his shell with your paw." And so that was all right. She said to him ever so many times, graciously waving her tail, "My son, when you find a hedgehog, you must drop him into the water, and then he will uncoil. When you catch a tortoise, you must scoop him out of his shell with your paw." One beautiful night on the banks of the turbid Amazon, painted jaguar found sticky, prickly hedgehog and slow, solid tortoise sitting under a trunk of a fallen tree. They could not run away, and so Sticky Prickly curled himself up into a ball because he was a hedgehog. The slow, solid tortoise drew into his head and feet into his shell as far as they would go because he was a tortoise. "Do you see? Now attend to me," said Painted Jaguar, "because this is very important. My mother said that when I meet a hedgehog, I'm to drop him into the water, and then he will uncoil. And when I meet a tortoise, I'm to scoop him out of his shell with my paw. Now which of you is a hedgehog, and which is a tortoise? Because to save my spots, I can't tell." "Are you sure what your mom has told you?" said Prickly, Sticky, Hedgehog. "Are you quite sure? Perhaps she said that when you uncoil a tortoise, you must shell him out of the water with a scoop, and when you paw a hedgehog, you must drop him on the shell." "Are you sure of what your mommy told you?" said Slow and Solid Tortoise. "Are you quite sure? Perhaps she said that when you water a hedgehog, you must drop him into your paw, and when you meet a tortoise, you must shell him till he uncoils." "I don't think it was all like that," said Painted Jaguar. But he felt a little puzzled. "But please, say it again more distinctly." "When you scoop water with your paw, you uncoil it with a hedgehog," said Sticky Prickly. "Remember that, because it's important." "Ah," said Painted Jaguar, "now I know you're a tortoise. You thought I wouldn't. Now I will." Painted Jaguar darted out his putty paw just as Sticky Prickly curled himself up. And of course, Jaguar's patty paw was just filled with prickles. Worse than that, he knocked Sticky Prickly away and into the woods and bushes, where it was too dark to find him. Then he put his patty paw into his mouth, and of course the prickles hurt him worse than ever. As soon as he could speak, he said, "Now I know he isn't tortoise at all, but..." And then he scratched his head with his unprickly paw. "How do I know that this other is a tortoise?" "But I am a tortoise," said Slow and Solid. "Your mother was quite right. She said that you were to scoop me out of my shell with your paw. Begin." "You didn't say she said that a minute ago," said Painted Jaguar, sucking the prickles out of his patty paw. "You said she said something quite different." "Well, I suppose you said that I said she said something quite different. I don't see that it makes any difference, because if she said what you said she said, it's just the same as if I said what she said she said. On the other hand, if you think she said that you were to uncoil me with a scoop instead of pawing me into drops with the shell, I can't help that, can I?" "But you said you wanted to be scooped out of your shell with my paw," said Painted Jaguar. "If you think again, you'll find that I didn't say anything of the kind. I said that your mother said that you were to scoop me out of my shell," said Slow and Solid. "What will happen if I do?" said the Jaguar, most stiffly and most cautiously. "I don't know, because I've never been scooped out of my shell before. But I can tell you truly, if you want to see me swim away, you've got only to drop me into the water." "But you said you wanted to be scooped out of your shell with my paw," said Painted Jaguar. "If you think again, you'll find that I didn't say anything of the kind. I said that your mother said that you were to scoop me out of my shell," said Slow and Solid. "What will happen if I do?" said the Jaguar, most stiffly and most cautiously. "I don't know, because I've never been scooped out of my shell before. But I can tell you truly, if you want to see me swim away, you've got only to drop me into the water." "I don't believe it," said Painted Jaguar. "You've mixed up all the things my mother told me to do with the things that you asked me whether I was sure that she didn't say, till I don't know whether I'm on my head or my painted tail. And now you come and tell me something I can understand, and it makes me more mixy than before. My mother told me that I was to drop one of you two in the water, and then you seem so anxious to be dropped, I think you don't want to be dropped. So jump into the turbid Amazon and be quick about it." "I warn you that your mummy won't be pleased." "Don't tell her I didn't tell you," said Slow Solid. "If you say another word about what my mother said," the Jaguar answered. But he had not finished the sentence before Slow and Solid quietly dived into the turbid Amazon, swam under water for a long way, and came out on the bank where Sticky Prickly was waiting for him. "That was a very narrow escape," said Sticky Prickly. "I don't like Painted Jaguar. What did you tell him you were?" "I told him truthfully that I was a truthful tortoise, but he wouldn't believe it, and he made me jump into the river to see if I was. And I was. And he is surprised. Now he's gone to tell his mommy. Listen to him." They could hear Painted Jaguar roaring up and down among the trees in the bushes by the side of the turbid Amazon, till his mommy came. "Son, son," said his mother ever so many times, graciously waving her tail, "what have you been doing that you shouldn't have done?" "I tried to scoop something that said it wanted to be scooped out of its shell with my paw, and my paw is full of prickles," said Painted Jaguar. "Son, son," said his mother ever so many times, graciously waving her tail, "by the prickles in your patty paw, I see that must have been a hedgehog. You should have dropped them in the water. I did that to the other thing, and he said he was a tortoise, and I didn't believe him, and it was quite true, and he has dived under the turbid Amazon, and he won't come up again, and I haven't eaten anything at all, and I think we'd better find lodging somewhere else. They are too clever on the turbid Amazon for poor me." "Son, son," said his mother ever so many times, graciously waving her tail, "now attend to me, and remember what I say. A hedgehog curls himself up into a ball, and his prickles stick out every which way at once. By this you may know the hedgehog." "I don't like this old lady one bit," said Sticky Prickly under the shadow of a large leaf. "I wonder what else she knows." "A tortoise can't curl himself up," Mother Jaguar went on, ever so many times, graciously waving her tail. "He only draws his head and legs into his shell. By this you may know the tortoise." "I don't like this old lady at all, said Slow and Slaw the tortoise. "Even Painted Jaguar can't forget those directions. It's a great pity that you can't swim, Sticky Prickly." "Don't talk to me," said Sticky Prickly. "Just think how much better it would be if you could curl up. This is a mess. Listen to Painted Jaguar." Painted Jaguar was sitting on the banks of the turbid Amazon, sucking his prickles out of his paws and saying to himself, "Can't curl, but can swim. Slow, Solid, that's him. Curls up, but can't swim. Sticky Prickly, that's him. He'll never forget this month of Sundays," said Sticky Prickly. "Hold up my chin, Slow and Solid. I'm going to try to learn to swim. It may be useful." "Excellent," said Slow and Solid, and he held up Sticky Prickly's chin, while Sticky Prickly kicked in the waters of the turbid Amazon. "You'll make a fine swimmer yet," said Slow and Solid. "Now, if you can unlace my back plates a little, I'll see what I can do towards curling up. It may be useful." Sticky Prickly helped to unlace Tortoise's back plates, so that by twisting and straining, Slow and Solid actually managed to curl up a tidy wee bit. "Excellent," said Sticky Prickly, "but I shouldn't do any more just now. It's making you black in the face. Kindly lead me into the water once again, and I'll practice that side stroke which you say is so easy." And so Sticky Prickly practiced, and Slow and Solid swam alongside. "Excellent," said Slow and Solid. "A little more practice will make you a regular whale. Now, if I may trouble you to unlace my back and front plates 2 holes more, I'll try that fascinating bend that you say is so easy. Won't Painted Jaguar be surprised?" "Excellent," said Sticky Prickly, all wet from the turbid Amazon. "I declare, I should know you from one of my own family. 2 holes, I think, you said. A little more expression, please. And don't quite grunt so much, or Painted Jaguar may hear us. When you've finished, I want to try that long dive which you say is so easy. Won't Painted Jaguar be surprised?" And so Sticky Prickly dived, and Slow and Solid dived alongside. "Excellent," said Slow and Solid. "A little more attention to holding your breath, and you will be able to keep my house at the bottom of the turbid Amazon. Now, I'll try that exercise of wrapping my hind legs around my ears, which you say is so particularly comfortable. Won't Painted Jaguar be surprised? Excellent, said Stickly Prickly, but it's straining your back plates a little. They are all overlapping now instead of lying side by side. Oh, that's the result of exercise, said Slow and Solid. I've noticed that your prickles seem to be melting into one another, and that you're growing to look rather like a pine cone, and less like a chestnut burr you used to. Am I, said Stickly Prickly. That comes from my soaking in the water. Oh, won't Painted Jaguar be surprised? They went on with their exercises, each helping the other, till morning came, and when the sun was high they rested and dried themselves. Then they saw that they were both of them quite different from what they had been. Sticky Prickly, said Tortoise after breakfast. I'm not what I was yesterday, but I think that I may yet amuse Painted Jaguar. That was the very thing I was thinking just now, said Stickly Prickly. I think scales are a tremendous improvement on prickles, to say nothing of being able to swim. Oh, won't Painted Jaguar be surprised? Let's go find him. By and by they found Painted Jaguar, still nursing his paddy paw that had been hurt the night before. He was so astonished that he fell 3 times backward over his own painted tail without stopping. Good morning, said Stickly Prickly, and how is your dear gracious mummy this morning? She is quite well, thank you, said Painted Jaguar, but you must forgive me if I do not at the precise moment recall your name. That's unkind of you, said Stickly Prickly, seeing that this time yesterday you tried to scoop me out of my shell with your paw, but you hadn't any shell. It was all prickles, said Painted Jaguar. I know it was. Just look at my paw. You told me to drop into the turbid Amazon and be drowned, said Slow and Solid. Why are you so rude and forgetful today? Don't you remember what your mother told you, said Stickly Prickly. Can't curl, but can swim. Stickly Prickly. That's him. Curls up, but can't swim. Slow, Solid. That's him. Then they both curled themselves up and rolled round and round Painted Jaguar till his eyes turned truly cartwheels in his head. Then he went to fetch his mother. Mother, he said, there are 2 new animals in the woods today, and one is that you said couldn't swim, swims, and the one that you said couldn't curl up, curls, and they've gone shares in their prickles, I think because both of them are scaly all over, instead of one being smooth and the other very prickly, and besides that, they're rolling around and round in circles, and I don't feel comfy. Son, son, said Mother Jaguar ever so many times, graciously waving her tail. A hedgehog is a hedgehog. It can't be anything but a hedgehog, and a tortoise is a tortoise, and can never be anything else. But it isn't a hedgehog, and it isn't a tortoise. It's a little bit of both, and I don't know its proper name. Nonsense, said Mother Jaguar. Everything has its proper name. I should call it Armadillo, till I found out the real one, and I should leave it alone. So the Painted Jaguar did as he was told, especially about leaving them alone. But the curious thing is that from that day to this, oh best beloved, no one on the banks of the turbid Amazon has ever called Stickly, Prickly, and Slow, Solid anything except Armadillo. There are hedgehogs and tortoises in other places, of course. There are some in my garden, but the real old and clever kind, with their scales lying lippity-lappity, one over the other, like pine-cone scales, that lived on the banks of the turbid Amazon in the high and far-off days, are always called armadillos, because they were so clever. So that's all right, best beloved, do you see? I've never sailed the Amazon, I've never reached Brazil, but the Don and Magdalena, they can go there when they will. Yes, weekly from Southampton, great steamers white and gold, go rolling down to Rio, roll down to Rio. And I'd like to roll to Rio, some day before I'm old. I've never seen a jaguar, nor yet an armadillo, doling in his armor, and I suppose I never will, unless I go to Rio, these wonders to behold, roll down to Rio, roll really down to Rio. Oh, I'd love to roll to Rio, some day before I'm old.
And that's the end of our tale for today. I hope you have a wonderful nap, because napping is part of what helps you learn everything that you need to know to be a very clever cat.